They keep writing the prelude. Ezra Klein, Peter Diamandis, Andrew Yang, chroniclers of the soft technocratic center, sketching out a world where scarcity ends, where technology liberates, where energy is clean and infinite. They show us the arc, but they always stop one page too soon. Right before the conclusion, their own evidence demands. They describe a world where food, shelter, energy, and information are no longer zero-sum, where automation dissolves the link between labor and survival, where tools fabricate tools and knowledge flows freely. But somehow, in the midst of this post-scarcity miracle, they still imagine a functioning market. They still imagine subscriptions. They still imagine billionaires. As if capitalism could survive its own obsolescence. This is where Enlightenment Socialism parts ways, because abundance is not an economic trend. It is not a consumer upgrade. It is not policy. It is physics. A civilizational phase shift. And if we follow Klein's logic to its natural end, if we take Enlightenment principles seriously, not as branding but as binding, then abundance doesn't just challenge capitalism. It renders it impossible. Because capitalism doesn't just fear abundance. It requires scarcity. It requires constraints so that the pricing mechanism can ration goods. It requires coercion so that labor remains obligatory. But when marginal costs hit zero, when goods can be fabricated, energy is infinite, and knowledge is non-rivalrous, then price, profit, and property cease to function. Not by revolution, by redundancy. Klein walks right up to that line. He shows us the price curves, the solar graphs, the manufacturing revolutions. He calls for a politics of building. But he never asks why markets fail to build, or why they hoard what they can no longer justify. He won't name what's breaking because it's the system he still believes can be reformed. But you can't policy your way out of contradiction. Klein still wants to manage abundance with scarcity-era tools. He thinks we can coexist with markets that gatekeep life, that Wall Street can fund a world where profit becomes mathematically irrelevant, that the same logic which turned insulin into a luxury will somehow steward an age of universal plenty. But that's not optimism. That's magical thinking. Because once abundance takes hold, capitalism doesn't just become immoral. It becomes inefficient. It becomes absurd. The very infrastructure required to deliver post-scarcity, open source fabrication, energy ubiquity, algorithmic coordination, makes price signals unnecessary. It makes gatekeeping impossible without violence. It dissolves the rationale for ownership itself. And that's not a crisis, that's liberation. Enlightenment socialism doesn't fear this shift. It fulfills it. It finishes what the Enlightenment began. The alignment of freedom with material security, of dignity with infrastructure, of value with life itself. Because a world of abundance demands systems where housing, food, education, and health are not bought or earned, but woven into the architecture of existence. We are not here to manage the market. We are here to replace it with something older and deeper. The moral clarity that survival should not be a transaction, that coercion should not be a prerequisite for participation, that life itself has intrinsic worth beyond labor, beyond productivity, beyond GDP. Klein still dreams of a world where you subscribe to your own life, where access is licensed and dignity is conditional. But what Enlightenment socialism understands is this. When the need to purchase disappears, the power to dominate vanishes, and with it, the class system built to ration what no longer needs to be rationed. The world Klein describes cannot be delivered by liberalism, because liberalism believes markets can be moral, that capital can be convinced to share. But Enlightenment socialism knows this. We do not negotiate with systemic incentives. We design systems that don't require the negotiation. So we do not reject abundance, we architect it. We do not fear the death of capitalism, we celebrate its redundancy, because when infrastructure is designed for life, not leverage, markets become relics. Power becomes unnecessary. Class becomes fiction. And that's the part Klein won't say, because saying it means recognizing that abundance isn't the next chapter of capitalism. It's the closing scene. And the first sentence of something radically new. The civilization of the mantle begins where the market ends. We don't ask for freedom. We engineer it. We don't manage abundance. We unleash it with reason, with technology, and with love.